All right, this is this little video series I'm going to do is going to introduce you to the basics of anatomy and physiology. That's all we're going to take a look at. We're going to take out the basics of human anatomy, physiology, and then we're going to take a look at some of the organ systems that we're going to deal with throughout the whole entire year. So let's get to work. The first thing we have to take a look at is what is human anatomy and what is human physiology. So anatomy is this study of the structure and the shape of the body and its parts. So we take a look at human anatomy. We're studying the actual shape of the structure. So what does it actually look like? And those parts of that actual structure itself. And then physiology is dealing with how those parts and how those structures, how they function. So anatomy is the structure, and then the physiology is how it functions. Now, as far as anatomy is concerned, like I can take a look right here. This is an eyeball that I'm looking at right here that you can see. If the anatomy is messed up, let's say that this cornea right here is misshapen, it's not the shape that it needs to be, then that's going to mess up the physiology. So anatomy and physiology are directly related, that if I mess up the anatomy of something, the physiology gets messed up along with it, because it's not going to work properly. If I have a misshapen cornea and it's curved, light's not going to bend, light's not going to get placed on that retina the way that it needs to, or light's going to be refracted to various areas and things like that, and you're going to have a scattering effect of that light, so that physiology is not going to work right. You're not going to be able to see correctly. So if the anatomy isn't correct, then the physiology, it's not going to work correctly as far as that is concerned. So anatomy is the study of the structure and the shape of the body and its parts, and physiology is how those parts work. They go hand in hand, though, when we talk about them. So when we take a look at anatomy, we have gross anatomy. Gross anatomy is large structures. They're easily observable with the naked eye when I take a look at them. So an anatomist, a gross anatomist is looking at giant structures that you can see. In college, you'll take a class that's called gross anatomy. So in college, you'll take a class that's called gross anatomy when you're looking at large structures that are easily observable with the naked eye. Like here, we're looking at the digestive system of the human. You can see the liver. It's really, really big. It's a simple organ to see. There's the gallbladder. There's the stomach. And you're looking at its shape, its components, its parts, and things like that. We also have microscopic anatomy. So with microscopic anatomy, you're observing things that are not observable with the naked eye. You're looking at things underneath the microscope, tissue samples, things at the cellular level, those types of things you're looking at with microscopic anatomy. So an example of what a microscopic anatomist might look at is this would be in the stomach when you're looking at these gastric pits inside the stomach underneath the microscope, looking at the slides of it, seeing if an individual is overproducing, underproducing a particular enzyme or something like that. You can be doing with the microscopic anatomy. Same concept here, microscopic anatomy. We're taking a look at things at the cellular level, enzymatic production here in this particular gland itself. How do we organize things? So the next thing we have is how are we going to organize things in the field of anatomy? Okay, so you start with an atom. Okay, we start at the chemical level. We start with an atom. A group of atoms builds a molecule. So a group of atoms builds a molecule. I take a group of these different molecules, okay, and I'm going to build a cell. Okay, so now we wind up at the cellular level. Okay, so we have an atom, a group of atoms builds a molecule, a group of different molecules, we join them together, they build a cell. This is where we first find life. So in biology, you studied life and things like that, and we always studied the cell, that typical cell. But this is looking at things at the cellular level, which is just a group of molecules joined together. If I take a group of similar cells, okay, if I take a group here of these smooth muscle cells and join them together, okay, I'm going to wind up with a tissue. Okay, so this is smooth muscle tissue here. So I took a group of these smooth muscle cells and I joined them all together, and I wound up with smooth muscle tissue. If I take a group of different tissue types, so I take a little bit of epithelial tissue, some connective tissue, some nervous tissue, some muscular tissue, and I join it together, that's how I wind up at the organ level. Okay, so that's how I wind up at the organ level. An organ is a group of different tissues that are joined together that are going to have a common function. In this case here, we're taking a look at a blood vessel, and we can see a blood vessel has an outer layer of connective tissue. We have some smooth muscle tissue that's here, and then the inner layer has this epithelial tissue that's here. But all these different tissue types are joined together for a common function that they have, which is going to be to transport blood. That's the job of this blood vessel, is going to be to transport blood, and that's what it's going to do. But we took a group of tissues and we joined them together, and we have an organ. If I take a group of different organs and I join them together that have a similar function as to their major job that they're going to accomplish, so a group of completely different organs and I join them together, I wind up with the organ system. So that's how I get to the organ system. Remember, when we take a look at the human body, there are 11, that's right, there are 11 organ systems in the human body that we have. An example right here is the cardiovascular system. The example here is the cardiovascular system. This is that one organ system that 25% of you, this organ system is going to fail in your life. Okay, this is an organ system that is notorious for failing at one point in your life. Why? Because we have a poor diet and we don't exercise. So those are two major reasons why your cardiovascular system is going to probably fail us, at least 25% of us in our lifetime. So all I'm telling you is, if you exercise a little bit more and you eat healthy, eat those fruits and vegetables, you're going to keep your cardiovascular system pumping effectively and doing its job a lot longer. If we take a group of these organ systems, so we take all 11 organ systems and we join them together, I finally wind up at you, which is the organism. So we finally wind up with you, which is the organism. You'll have a question on your test that's going to be dealing with how we organize things in human anatomy, physiology. This is a great slide here to kind of refresh you. Where we started out with the atoms. Group of atoms builds a molecule. Group of molecules builds a cell. Group of similar cells builds a tissue. Group of different tissue types builds an organ. Group of different organs builds an organ system. Group of different organ systems builds the organism. So yeah, you can kind of see that. Super cool, nice, easy slide, gets the point across. Hopefully that makes complete sense to you. Now we're going to take a look at the 11 major organ systems. These are the 11 major organ systems that we're going to take a look at throughout the whole entire year in this particular class itself. So the first major organ system that we have is the Integumentary System. And the Integumentary System is basically going to be an organ system that's going to cover the outside of your body. Okay, it forms your body's external covering. It's going to protect deeper tissue from injury. One of its other functions is it's going to help regulate your body temperature. You sweat, your skin constricts when it's very cold out to help keep that heat in. It also houses these cutaneous nerve receptors. What that means is, embedded within the skin, you have little tiny endings on the nerves that are helping to detect things like, oh, it's hot, I've been cut, oh, it's cold, oh, there's pressure. That's there. That's what those cutaneous nerve receptors do. The integumentary system has the largest organ of the whole entire body. So the integumentary system has the largest organ of the whole entire body, that being the skin. Now, your integumentary system also consists of other organs, just not the skin. It's your skin, it's your hair, it's your nails. Those are your major organs that we have of the integumentary system. If I was not Mr. Plazik, your teacher, I was well on the path to becoming Mr. Plazik, your dermatologist. So if I was not a teacher, this is what I was going to be. I was pretty set back in the day on being a dermatologist. But thankful for you guys. You guys have Mr. Plazik, your human anatomy phys teacher, and I'm not your dermatologist. But this is what I really wanted to do. This is my, I'm not going to lie to you, this is my favorite organ system. Okay, we all have our favorites. This is my favorite organ system, is the integumentary system. The next organ system that we have is the skeletal system. So the skeletal system has a protective property that's associated with it. It's going to protect and support body organs. When you take a look back here, you can see you have the rib cage that's back here. Okay, this rib cage is made of bones. These bones of the rib cage are protecting your heart and protecting your lungs. When you look at the skull is protecting the brain. When you look at your vertebral column, it's protecting that spinal cord. So that's one of the major functions that we have of the skeletal system. It's also going to provide the site for muscle attachment, okay, that's going to aid in movement. Now, the skeletal system does not produce that movement. It just has an area that muscles can attach to, okay, and then the muscles are going to produce that movement. But it provides an attachment point for these skeletal muscles. It's also the site of red blood cell formation. We call red blood cell formation hematopoiesis. Just say that term, hematopoiesis. Hematopoiesis. Hematopo what? Hematopoiesis. Hematopo what? Hematopoiesis. What? Hematopoiesis. It's an amazing term to say. It means red blood cell formation, and red blood cells are going to be formed in that spongy bone area that we have. And we're going to learn about that a little bit later on in the year. Yeah, hematopoiesis is occurring. That red blood cell formation is occurring within the skeletal system. It's also the site of mineral storage. So one of the major minerals that's stored inside of bone is calcium. So it acts as a reservoir for calcium storage inside of your body. The next organ system that we have, we have to go over the organs of the skeletal system. The major organs that we have of the skeletal system are going to be your bones, okay? And then we have these joints, these areas where these bones come in close proximity to one another. Some of the times they actually come close and they're touching. Sometimes they're a little bit separated from one another that we have. But these are called joints. Joints are spaces in between bones or areas where bones come real close together and they actually meet up. So you have your bones, you have your joints, and you have your cartilages, okay? Your cartilages that are at the ends of your bones and things like that, like your hyaline cartilages that are allowing bone to be able to glide across one another and things like that. On your rib cage, you have different types of cartilage that are hanging out there as well that allow for the attachment to the actual sternum itself. So that's kind of the major function of your skeletal system. It's going to provide support for the body, provides a framework for the muscles to use to cause movement. We talked about red blood cell formation and the storage of minerals. That is the major function of your skeletal system. I'm sure you will get that correct on your test. The next organ system that we have is the muscular system. So this is the muscular system here. The muscular system is going to be the organ system that's going to produce the movement of these bones. So it's going to move bones. It's going to help maintain posture, keep it upright. Also, it produces heat in your body. The movement of these skeletal muscles produces heat in your body and helps keep you warm. You think about when you exercise, when I get my little exercise on and I keep it moving and I keep it grooving and I keep it moving and I keep it grooving, I get hot. I'm producing heat is what I'm doing. So I'm getting heat produced as a result of the movement of the skeletal muscle. The major organs that we have of the muscular system is skeletal muscle. It is skeletal muscle. Okay, so skeletal muscle is the major organ that we have of the muscular system. The next organ system that we have is the nervous system. The nervous system is your fast-acting control system of the body. It's going to respond to internal and external changes that are going on. And when it responds, it's going to activate muscles and glands is what it's going to do. So this is your fast-acting control system. It's going to monitor things and it's going to respond to those things that it's monitoring. Okay, so your eye might interpret, okay, you might have light coming in your eye that's interpreting that there's a bee coming at you, Your brain is processing, oh my gosh, light's coming from the eye, and in my brain I process it, oh my gosh, there's a bee. And you process in your brain that it's a bee. How do you want to respond to that bee coming at you? You probably want to get out of the way. So you're going to activate skeletal muscle that's going to cause you to move and get out of the way of that particular bee. That's what we mean by the fast-acting control system. It's taking information, it's processing that information, and it's responding. That's what's happening to the nervous system. Now, there might come a point in time as far as internal stimuli is concerned that you might have eaten like a ton of sugar. Actually, I don't want to use that example. I want to use your fight or flight response as far as glands are concerned and things like that. So there might come a point in time when you're like startled or something like that, or you might be in a crisis situation. Okay, your nervous system is going to fire into your adrenal glands and get it to release adrenaline. That would be an example of your nervous system causing your adrenal gland to release adrenaline, and then that gets you amped up and allows you to deal with that fight or flight situation. And we'll talk a lot about the nervous system, that sympathetic and parasympathetic division of the nervous system when we get to this organ system. This is a pretty cool organ system. I think you're going to like the nervous system. The next, the major organs that we have with the organ system are going to be the brain, okay, the spinal cord, and then nerves coming off of that brain and spinal cord. So you have the brain, you have the spinal cord, and then you have nerves coming off that brain and spinal cord. And then embedded at the end of these nerves, some of these nerves, you have these things that are called sensory receptors that are kind of detecting things. Like in your eye, you have rods and cones that are like little receptors that are stimulated by light and things like that. In your skin, like we talked about, you have sensory receptors. They're going to be responsive to pain, temperature, and pressure and stuff like that. The next organ system that we have is the endocrine system. Now, the endocrine system is not as fast. It's not as fast as the nervous system. It's a lot slower, but its effects are a lot more longer lasting. And the endocrine system is going to control a variety of major processes inside of the human body. From growth, okay, you take a look at growth hormone. It's what's going to allow you to grow big, tall, okay, to reproduction, okay, the maturation of the testes and the ovaries is all done via hormones. We take a look at androgens and estrogens and things like that. And then your metabolism, the sum of all chemical reactions, the sum of what I break down things and I build things up, that's controlled by your endocrine system as well. So the endocrine system is a lot slower organ system, but its effects are a lot longer lasting when we take a look at it. The true superstars of the endocrine system are endocrine glands that secrete hormones, and these are some of the major endocrine glands that we have of the human body that are right here. We have the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, the thyroid gland, the thymus, but you guys get the idea. These are the major glands of the endocrine system that we're taking a look at when we're dealing with it. They're endocrine glands. They're dealing with the endocrine system, and they're releasing hormones. And we have an amazing unit on the endocrine system that deals with a lot of feedback loops and things like that. And you're going to come to love feedback loops when we get to the endocrine system. Trust me. You're going to like feedback loops. The next organ system that we have is the cardiovascular system. This tends to rank high on people's list of favorite organ systems. So when you ask you, what's your favorite organ system? Oh my gosh, I love the cardiovascular system. Cardiovascular system is going to transport materials in the body via blood, and the pump of the cardiovascular system is the heart. So it's going to deliver things like your oxygen, carbon dioxide, nutrients, and waste products throughout your body. That's the job of the cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular system consists of the heart and then arteries, veins, and capillaries that are coming off these blood vessels. So you have the heart, and then you have arteries, veins, venules, arterioles, capillaries. Those things are all going to be where that blood is going to be transported to. Those are the highways that blood is traveling through. The pump, again, is the heart. You guys understand the cardiovascular system. Next organ system that we have is called your immune system, but we also call it your lymphatic system. So your lymphatic system is not run by a pump, and it's a really cool organ system. It's controlled by pressure and things like that. And it's going to help cleanse the blood, so we help clean our blood, but its major responsibilities involved in immunity and activating white blood cells, antibodies, and things like that to help ward off foreign invaders. It's also going to return the liquid component of your blood. It helps return that fluid back into the bloodstream in the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is an organ system that not a lot of people know about that well in human anatomy physiology, because it tends to sit towards the back of the book, and a lot of times teachers don't get to the back of the book to get to the lymphatic system. But we'll get to the lymphatic system in this particular class itself. The major organs of the lymphatic system are the spleen. So we have the spleen, we have the thoracic ducts, we have lymph nodes, and then we have lymphatic vessels as well that are all part of the lymphatic system. This is your immune system dealing with fighting off foreign invaders and things like that, your bacterium, viruses. And these are your lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are scattered throughout the body, and you have these little other tiny tubes that we call the thoracic ducts and lymphatic vessels as well. That consists of the lymphatic system. Next organ system that we have is the respiratory system. This is going to keep the body supplied with oxygen, and then it also removes carbon dioxide from your body, brings in oxygen, rids the body of carbon dioxide. You know the major organs of the respiratory system are going to be your lungs, okay, your nasal cavity, the pharynx, the larynx, the trachea, and the bronchi are all the major organs that are associated with the respiratory system. We have the digestive system. Digestive system is going to break down food. Going to break down what? Going to break down food. Going to break down what? Going to break down food. That's the job of the digestive system, is to help break down food. It also allows for nutrient absorption into the blood and eliminates things that can't be digested as feces, as this waste product. So things that can't get broken down small enough to get absorbed in the bloodstream, it comes out the other end as your fecal matter. So digestive system's all about the breakdown. That's what the digestive system's about. Digestive system, what are you about? I'm all about the breakdown. That's what digestive system does, is it's going to break down your food into small enough pieces so they can get absorbed in the bloodstream. Those pieces that don't get broken down small enough they end up coming out the other end as indigestible material. Major organs of the digestive system are your oral cavity, your esophagus, your stomach, your small intestine, your large intestine, your rectum, and then that food product that is not digested comes out the anus. Moving into the urinary system is going to eliminate the body of nitrogenous waste. We'll talk a little bit about nitrogenous waste when we get to the urinary system. Also helps maintain your acid-base balance, regulates your water balance, your electrolyte balance as well, are all regulated via the urinary system. It's going to help clean your blood. Urinary system is one of the organ systems that helps clean your blood. Some of the major organs that we have are the kidneys, the ureter, the bladder, and the urethra. So the kidneys, the ureter, the bladder, and the urethra. The kidneys, the ureter, the bladder, and the urethra are all the major organs that we have of the urinary system. The next organ system that I have is the reproductive system. This is the final organ system. Oh my gosh. We should have like some background music or something like that celebrating that you have made it to the final organ system that we have. This is organ system number 11, which is the reproductive system. And here is the reproductive system. The reproductive system's major goal is to allow you to produce offspring. So that's what it's going to do. It allows you to produce offspring. The testes produce sperm, which is the male hormone. The testes produce sperm. My bad. I messed up. I'm sorry. The testes produce sperm and a variety of male hormones that we call androgens. And then the ovaries are going to produce eggs, as well as a variety of female hormones, such as estrogens and progesterone, is what the reproductive system is. The organ for the male is the penis, and then for the female, we have the vagina. All right. We also have some of these other structures like the prostate gland. The females have the uterus. They also have mammary glands within their breasts that are fully developed that are also counted as part of the reproductive system. So there you have it, guys. That is just a brief overview of what we're going to cover in this class. It's just a small, brief overview of what we're going to cover in the class. Those 11 major body systems are truly amazing, and I look forward to teaching you the finer details about each and every single one of these organ systems throughout the whole entire year. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have about these 11 major organ systems of the body.